I-20 male come from a mess of a family. One of my uncles is a raging narcissist, but everyone still talks to him. Unfortunately, I'll call him Frank. Yesterday, we had a small family dinner since it was my grandmother's birthday. Frank and his wife, Sarah, are awful to Frank's daughter from his first marriage, Clara, 18. I would never stop if I explained it all, but all you need to know is that Clara is innocent. They hate her for no reason. Frank hosted a family dinner yesterday, and they were trying to use Clara as a servant. She had already cooked most of the food, and they were trying to make her clean up. She had enough and called her stepbrother, her stepdad's son, to collect her. I've met her stepbrother a few times, and he's a very nice guy. He doesn't mess around about his sisters, Clara included. He used to have major anger issues, but he's calmer nowadays. Her stepbrother arrived, and Frank said he wouldn't let Clara leave until she washed all the dishes. Other cousins offered to help, but he said that since she had made all the dishes, because she did all the cooking, she had to wash them. He then hid her shoes and phone so she couldn't leave. For the first time, my mother and other elders stood up to him and demanded that he let her go home, but he wasn't budging. An argument started, the type where all the kids are cleared out of the room. Clara started crying and was just going to go do the dishes, but I was like, no way. I went outside to her stepbrother's car, and one of Clara's cousins from her mom's side was there with him. They asked what took so long, and I informed them of the situation. This is where I might be the idiot, since I knew these two would go in the house and get Clara out by any means necessary. I let them in, and I can only say that Clara's shoes and phone were returned immediately. I stayed outside, and I'm not lying when I say that those men shouted so loudly that the windows were shaking. Her stepbrother and cousin also then took a pair of Frank's shoes, a TV remote, and a few other things just because they could. Now everyone's mad at me. My mother's saying I was an idiot because they were trying to get the situation sorted, which is true. That was the first time I saw anyone stand up to Frank. She said that things are a million times worse now that I have Clara's maternal family involved. Clara's older brother, not the stepbrother, who's also Frank's son, who couldn't make it to the family dinner, has completely disowned his father and refuses to return a car and a lawnmower that he borrowed. They demanded that I apologize to Frank and ensure his belongings were returned to him. I don't think I'm an idiot, because it's his fault he refused to let Clara go. But am I the idiot for turning a family argument into a massive situation that now involves theft? Not the idiot. Screw everyone who's telling you to apologize to Frank. For what exactly? You unleashed a Delta Force security team to undo Frank's hostage situation. Good for you. This is like Cinderella, except it's the evil father instead of the stepmother, and the prince's multiple assortments of cousins and brothers, including literally sweeping her off her feet. This entire thing wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for Frank's actions. Frank, and it sounds like your family all knows this about him, has been allowed to get away with treating his daughter like crap. And finally, he messed around and found out. He hid his grown-up daughter's shoes and phone to force her into doing the dishes. If an adult teen is going to leave the house, a grown man can be mad about it, but hiding her shoes? That is bully behavior. Finally, Clara has someone standing up for her, you and her stepbrother, and says heck no to the bully. You owe Frank zero apologies. You have as much right to demand from him that he apologize to the family for causing such a childish scene that escalated and ruined everyone's night. I hope Clara can or does live with her mother and goes LC with her father. OP, you could always apologize with something like, I'm deeply sorry that you're such an idiot and ashamed to acknowledge you as family. But I'm still trying to wrap my head around the concept of Clara being obligated to wash the dishes because she's the one who dirtied them in the first place by doing all the cooking. Like, what? I would have dropped every dish on the floor. You can't wash them if they're broke. Recently, I, 21 female, had my birthday, and my boyfriend, 21 of 3 years, took me out to dinner. After we had our meal, he told me he had gotten a gift for me. Now, usually when he gets me gifts, they've never been too fancy. For example, last year, he got me a pair of shoes I've been wanting and some flowers. We're both only in our 20s and in college, so neither of us has a lot of money. So I never expected too much in terms of gifts. So when I saw the box of a company I would never even dare to look at, I was extremely excited. But when he opened the box, I saw a pair of gold earrings and my smile shrunk. I asked him why he would get me something gold if I only wore silver. He apologized, but I was still a bit annoyed. And I realized he started becoming more frustrated on our way to his car. I could tell my reaction was bugging him, and eventually he dropped me off at my apartment without coming inside and didn't even let me take the gift. I didn't want my night ruined, so I had some of my girls over, and so I wasn't really on my phone. The morning after my birthday, I realized he had called me twice and sent me a message. To paraphrase, he basically said that he didn't realize it would be such a big deal, and he never pays attention to my jewelry because he finds me beautiful with or without it, and guys generally don't care about jewelry. I'm torn now because I may have overreacted and seemed ungrateful. On the other hand, we've been dating for over 3 years, and he doesn't even know what jewelry I like? You are the idiot. You could have gratefully taken it in the spirit it was intended, then later on, maybe in a couple of days, politely said that you tried them on, but maybe they don't suit you. You hope he wouldn't be offended if you could go and change them if he had the receipt, and that just in general, if he wanted to buy you jewelry, you think that generally silver looks better on you. See how that's slightly different from effectively throwing his gift back in his face the moment you received it? I get that OP could maybe have been more tactful, but they've been together for 3 years, and she only wears silver jewelry. It's like saying he's a Chelsea fan and she got him an Arsenal shirt, so he should just be grateful, exchanged for whatever sports team you understand the significance of. Women shouldn't have to tiptoe around men's egos when they've messed up. Thank you. After 3 years, he hasn't noticed the type of jewelry she likes? This is the type of stuff people let slide. And then 10 years from now, they're telling us about their inattentive husbands who don't get them a birthday, Christmas, or even Mother's Day gift. Let's stop infantilizing men with the, oh, men don't notice these things, because then men need to be treated like children within society if this is the case. Could she have been nicer? But honestly, rather nip this in the bud. The man got her what she wanted the year before, so he's more than capable of giving wanted gifts. My wife and I have been discussing baby names for our son. She likes the name Michael because it was her brother's name. When she first mentioned it, I said I wasn't comfortable with our son having that name. She asked why and got upset, thinking it concerned her brother. I told her that I didn't have any positive memories associated with that name growing up, and I didn't want our son associated with the name either. She got upset because I didn't give a specific reason. I told her I wasn't comfortable discussing it further, but she kept asking. After a while, I told her that Michael was a family friend that I didn't like. She asked me why I didn't like him, but I told her that I just didn't like him, and that's all she needed to know. She eventually stopped asking, and I was happy. However, I found out she's been asking my family members about Michael, which upset me, and I confronted her about it. They didn't give her any more information than I did, because that's all they knew. I told my wife that I didn't like that she went behind my back, after making it clear I was uncomfortable with the topic. I told her that if she really wanted to name our son after her brother, she could use his middle name, but his first name was off limits. This upset her, and she told me that she was hurt. I'm keeping a secret from her, and I should look at it as an opportunity to turn whatever problem I'm having with the name into something positive for our son. This sparked an argument, as I didn't appreciate her telling me that. She's now mad and claiming I'm keeping a secret from her, but I don't see how I am. I told her I didn't want to name our son Michael, and I gave her a reason why. I don't see why I have to go into full detail. Edit. Michael was not a bully. He was a criminal. I told no one, and I intend to keep it that way. Why am I expected to tell my wife when I didn't even tell my parents? Not the idiot. Names for kids are a 2 yes, 1 no situation, and no one has a right to dig into someone else's bad experiences when that person doesn't want to discuss it, period. Everyone, including a spouse, needs to get over thinking someone else's trauma is theirs to know. There are so many good names in the world. Any that has the slightest negative association should be immediately ditched, no questions asked. Also, it doesn't sound like she can be trusted with your secret anyway, since her first instinct was to run to family on a fact-finding mission. You can be darn sure she'd do the same if you told her everything. She's proven she can't be trusted. The reason doesn't matter. Your wife simply wants to know the specific reason so that she can still justify why that's not a valid reason. She's not asking you because you're keeping secrets or she's concerned. She legitimately wants to know so she can argue that your reason makes no sense and that you should still be okay with the name. The reason why your memories aren't positive doesn't matter. P.S. Since when wasn't no a complete sentence anymore? I've been dating my fiance for 4 years and engaged for 7 months. We're trying to plan out a wedding for roughly fall next year. Her childhood was terrible and abusive, to put it mildly. Her parents were raging narcissists, and she was the scapegoat for her 2 brothers. She was abused and thrown out the moment she turned 18. She was, however, a great student and a hard worker. So with some scholarships and a part-time job, she has a great career and is pretty independent. The problem, though, is that she still had contact with her family. None of them have changed. Well, something has changed. They have become more financially dependent on her. They enjoy slowly creeping back into her life and emotionally blackmailing her for support or whatever she can do. They're not pleasant about it either. They're rude, smug, and generally enjoy being a nuisance. And my fiance can't say no, no matter the horrible things they say or how they outright try and intimidate her openly. I've always known her family history and supported her through the issues with them. Still, they've become far more brazen and idiotic in the last year or so. They come over to our house more often. They make messes everywhere. Her mother acts like she's the darn stepmother from Cinderella. Her dad drinks all my darn beer and empties out half the fridge. Her brothers stop by occasionally to act as mouthpieces for their parents. They practically trash the place and leave us to clean the mess. And where's my fiance in all this? Quietly standing in the corner, practically shaking. I'm no fool here. There is legitimate trauma. She needs to feel loved by them and hope they'll appreciate her. Before one of you noble commenters states the obvious, she's been in therapy for this for years. I've tried to establish boundaries. For nearly 2 years, I've been trying to push these clowns away. But this is the house she purchased, and no matter the financial contributions or otherwise, she'll let me have a say on who comes into her house. She's been beaten down mentally and emotionally by them for so long. She's told me recently that she wants to earn their approval, how they were right about her, how she needs to be better for them. I've had too many emotional conversations with tears and begging to count, hoping she'll take the steps to get better. But she's an adult. I can't force her to do anything. I love her, but I can't help but feel resentful of what she's doing. It's agonizing watching someone you love, someone who you know deserves so much better, openly destroy themselves for people like her family. It's been painful watching her cry herself to sleep one too many nights because of them. I've tried too many times to help her get out of their clutches, but I have to think about the future. What happens if we have kids? What happens when she's postpartum and invites them over? What happens if either of us has a medical emergency? What if our finances get tight and they still demand money? This is the in-law nightmare family, and I won't be able to avoid them. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell her how I want to delay the wedding until firm boundaries are established. If she resists, I'll walk. I can't do it anymore. I refuse to watch a slow death like this any longer. Not the idiot. You can't save her if she doesn't want to be saved. Even if she wanted to, you'd only be able to help and support her. She needs to enforce and hold the boundaries, but she doesn't. It's up to you if you want this for life. You must save yourself if she won't protect her home with you. Dude, imagine what kind of life your children would have if you stayed with her. I feel for her, but this is not tenable. She's not willing to make the change. Don't let her pull you down with her. Move on. I think this should be your argument, OP. You need to get your fiancé to think of your future children. Ask her if she would want your son or daughter to be subjected to them. Ask her how she would feel if they were abused by these people. Tell her you would never agree to children unless she can stand up to them and protect your babies. If she can't do it for herself, she will never be able to do it for your children. If that doesn't wake her up, you should walk away. No one should willingly continue this cycle of abuse and subject others to it, and that includes you and your future family. I, 28 female, am currently 7 months pregnant with my first child. My whole family was excited for me when I announced it, and my grandma had promised to make a quilt for my baby. She was an avid crafter. She loved knitting, crocheting, embroidery, and all kinds of sewing, including quilting. Very sadly, my grandma suffered a major heart attack and passed away almost 3 months ago. Only a few weeks ago, I discovered that all of her crafting supplies had been given to my younger cousin, 21 female. This wasn't a surprise since this cousin, I'll call her Bree, is as much of a crafting fanatic as our grandma. She learned a lot from her, and they used to spend family gatherings together, sitting and working on their respective projects. My husband suggested that Bree might be willing to finish the quilt our grandma had started to make. I called her and asked if she had the quilt in progress. She said she wasn't sure where it might be. Basically, my uncles packed up my grandma's house, and everything that looked craft-related got put in a box and given to Bree, and that she didn't have time to look for it just then. I then asked her if she would be willing to finish it once she found it, since I wanted my baby to have something my grandma had at least partially made. She said she was sorry, but no, because she realistically wouldn't get around to it anytime soon. She's doing summer courses so she can graduate college in December, and she also has a part-time job. The last thing she said, though, really stuck in my craw, which was along the lines of, and I don't really feel like making a quilt, so it wouldn't be enjoyable. I let it go then, but I talked with my mom later about how irritating Bree's answer was. I understand she has time constraints, but she still works on her hobbies, so it boils down to her not caring enough about me or my baby to do this for us. If our grandma could do it, why couldn't she, you know? Mom agreed that she was rude and told our brother, Bree's dad, about what she said, and then the whole family knew and had opinions. Bree called me a couple of days later, saying that my behavior was childish and that it had been in bad taste to complain about not receiving a gift. She said she found the fabric that Grandma had intended to use for the quilt, but it turns out she hadn't even gotten started on it before she passed. I don't know how to feel about this. I'm really sad that even if the quilt gets made somehow, none of it will be my grandma's work. Now that we know Grandma hadn't started it, Bree's convinced the family that I got everyone worked up over nothing, and that I was the idiot for being pushy about what would have been a gift. Even my mom, who initially agreed with me, now thinks I should have dropped it when Bree first said no, and that I started family drama unnecessarily. My husband feels bad for suggesting it, but also thinks my family's being fair weather. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. I'm sorry, but you did start drama unnecessarily. Asking Bree if she could finish the quilt was fine, but her answer was no. You then crap-talked her to others and then caused unnecessary conflict. Also, the whole accusing her of not caring enough about you or your baby seems very entitled. To add, yes, OP's mom was also an idiot for telling others the idiot things OP was saying. What she said is not rude at all. Do you realize that your grandmother and your cousin are two different people? Bree is under no obligation to do you this favor. You're very entitled if you think she should do it just because you want her to. You have to let go of that quilt you wanted so badly. Also, your baby is a priority to you and your parents, but you and your baby are not the main characters in your cousin's life. Please get some perspective. Bree has a life, a job, and college. Because you're pregnant, she should leave all her responsibilities because you demand she make your child a quilt? Get off your high horse and apologize for being an idiot.